The problem of drug abuse has become a transcultural phenomenon as it is observed in Nigeria's cities, communities, and of course towns. And we consider that as a topical issue that requires critical analysis. And that's our focus tonight. Good evening and welcome to Weekend File. And thank you for tuning in. And now let's go. Within the last decade, consumption of hard drugs has dramatically increased in Nigeria. Historically speaking, the 1970s and 80s witnessed the introduction of cocaine, heroin, amphetamines, and pharmaceutical opiates such as morphine and codeine. This trend changed dramatically in the 90s to include the abuse of non-conventional drugs such as volatile solvents or inhalants, namely gasoline, correction fluid, rubber solution, aerosol, nail polish remover, kerosene, petrol, and vinyl nitrate. Experts say these solvents produce psychoactive vapor, which when inhaled goes straight to the brain, heart and lungs with instant intoxication and diverse consequences. United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime reported that Nigeria is top of drug substance abusers in Africa. It is clear that substance abuse in Nigeria and the new trend have become significant medical, psychological, social, and economic problems facing the nation. Let's dissect the situation tonight as we present to you a fresh edition of Weekend File, your weekend companion. And on this channel, the news comes first. My name is Kirian Umayo. The news now. Despite security challenges in Borno State, early this morning, candidates from that zone joined more than 57,000 others to participate in the 2017 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, which kicked off this Saturday. Franca Uzoma-Olua reports that JAMB Registrar Professor Isha Koloyede monitored the examination in some centers in Abuja.
The 2017 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination kicked off on skeletal basis across the Federation with 2 sessions, but without technical hitches.
We have deliberately put 2 sessions and not 3 today because this is the first day and we expect that they will have some wiring problems.
At the Digital Bridge Institute, Abuja, the exercise started a little behind schedule for the first session.
When we started, I was expecting that maybe we will have some problem with the network, but actually there was no problem with the network.
I don't have access to computer before, so it is because of this exam that I started learning it small, so the time was up.
Investigations showed that out of 642 computer-based test centers, JAMB delisted 4 due to some irregularities.
We had a similar thing that happened in Uromi last year, and Uromi was blacklisted and remained blacklisted. There was a little disturbance in Ekoma. As I told you, we are monitoring what is going on. There's a little problem in Uturu. We are monitoring what is going on there too. Meduguri, because what happened overnight, there was we had to delay so as to because of panic and militarization of the campus.
At the JAMB headquarters in Buhari, senior academics and JAMB operatives monitored the conduct of the examinations in the control room. More than 1.7 million candidates registered for this year's UTME. Franca Uzoma-Olua, NTA News.
The Tertiary Education Fund, TETFund, says it has institutionalized what it calls Access Clinic to ensure that tertiary institutions in the country benefit from backlog of intervention funds to the last kobo. Briefing newsmen on non-executions of work in some institutions of higher learning and failure by contractors to either mobilize to sites or carry out the project, Executive Secretary of the fund, Dr. Abdullahi Bichi, said periodically institutions are being subjected to verification to ensure judicious use of the intervention fund.
We didn't just ask the institutions to blacklist the contractors, but also to send their names to us, so that we are going to share their names on our list of all beneficiary institutions, so that no institution should also accept to give such defaulting contractors TETFund projects. We have also started involving the law enforcement agencies. We will want public fund allocated to these institutions, disbursed by this fund, to be utilized judiciously.
Abdullahi Musa Suleja reports that the executive secretary said, depending on their peculiarities, some institutions have minimum of 20 million naira, while others have a maximum of 4 billion naira unaccessed as backlog of funds. Still on education, all examinations taking place at the University of Maiduguri and other related activities, including the Unified Tertiary Examination, have continued as scheduled, despite the Saturday's early morning Boko Haram suicide bomb attacks on the institution. Maimuna Garba has more on that.
The police, in a press statement, has confirmed the attack on University of Maiduguri, where 3 suicide bombers, in an attempt to gain entry into the premises of the institution through the university mechanical workshop, were intercepted by the university security personnel and soldiers on duty. In the process, the suicide bombers detonated their IEDs, killing themselves and the university security personnel, while a soldier sustained injury. A visit to the institution indicates that normal academic and other activities are going on uninterrupted, as the students have continued with their examinations, and those writing the Unified Tertiary Matriculations examination were also on it.
Management assures parents, guardians, and other stakeholders that it will continue to ensure uninterrupted academic activities on campus. All staff and students should remain calm and continue with their normal activities as the university takes further necessary steps to protect lives and property on campus.
The DVC appealed to the federal government to make available funds to construct perimeter fence to prevent the insurgents from infiltrating into the institution through the eastern part of the university.
It's quite unfortunate, what's been happening, but we are more interested in seeking our education and getting our results. So no matter the activities of the insurgents is nothing will deter us from our educational pursuit.
We are able to do our exams, and we are ready to continue with the exams and finish the exams successfully. So we are here to meet and we will make it by the grace of God.
This is the second attack on the same area in the university in 1 month. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
The attention of the Nigerian army has been drawn to 2 video clips released by one of the released Boko Haram terrorists in exchange for the abducted Chibok school girls. A statement from Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Sani Kokasheka Osman, indicates that it is the first clip the terrorists, among other things, made boastful and spurious allegations, while the second clip was about alleged indoctrination of some of the abducted Chibok schoolgirls in captivity. The Nigerian army states that the terrorists have lost touch with current realities, noting that the released video clips aimed at seeking relevance and attention. The release assures the public that the Nigerian army is totally committed to the federal government's determined efforts to rescuing all abducted persons, restore peace in the country, and that the armed forces will not relent in its effort of clearing the remnants of the Boko Haram terrorists as manifested through the ongoing clearance operations. The Nigerian Air Force is unrelenting in its bombardment, while other security agencies are equally doing their best. The federal government has been commended for keeping to its promise that it will do all within its powers to secure the released abducted Chibok girls. In a statement by the president of NIPS Alumni Association, Khalil Bolaji, the association praised the negotiating ability of the presidency and the gallantry of the military and security agencies, saying the Alumni Association of the National Institute will always support federal government's effort in securing lives and property of Nigerians through policy recommendations and implementation strategies. The importance attached to human capacity development by the Nigerian Armed Forces for its operations has been commended. Minister of Defense Mansour Dan Ali, who was represented by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Olanishake, gave the commendation at the maiden graduation ceremony of the Air War College, Makurdi, Benue State. Defense correspondent Isaac Nkuma has that report.
As the Nigerian Air Force continues its interdiction missions in the northeast and other trouble spots, understanding the intricacies of air operations while deploying air assets to the theater of war is imperative. The Air War College, established in September 2016, is the highest professional military training institution of the Air Force, mandated to play a leading role in the articulation of strategy and doctrine towards developing and deploying air power during operations. These are some air assets manned by personnel of the Nigerian Air Force, but during joint operations, there is a need for proper coordination between the air power and the ground forces. That synergy is what the Air War College, Makurdi, seeks to achieve.
We are particularly proud that in less than 2 years, we have been able to revitalize our armed forces for the full restoration of Nigerian territorial integrity that was once violated by Boko Haram insurgents.
22 group captains, 5 wing commanders, a lieutenant colonel from the Nigerian Army, and 2 commanders from the Nigerian Navy were inaugurated in November 2016 for a 6-month training at the college.
They have been equipped, they have been given all that is required in terms of understanding the issues of logistics support for air operations, the issues of integrating whatever you are doing with what the other services are doing, issues of coordination, issues of interacting with the community where you are operating.
The 29 pioneer graduates of Air War Course 1 were inducted as Air Fellows of the War College, AFWC, with 3 of them given special recognition for outstanding performance. From Makurdi, Isaac Nkuma, NTA News.
Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says the federal government will adopt a policy to give the right of first refusal to indigenous consultants in its projects. The minister said this when he received members of the Public Relations Consultants Association of Nigeria here in Abuja. Anthony Forsing was there.
The minister said the policy, when enacted, will not only give impetus to job creation, but will also assist in the development of the capacity of indigenous consultants, while foreign consultants will also be compelled, when coming into the country, engage Nigerians.
Our homegrown consultants are the major stakeholders in our programs. You see, when you involve your own consultants in your projects, you are not just taking expert advice, you are also employing people who have already bought into the project.
He stressed that once the policy is active, government ministries, departments and agencies will begin to involve consultants like the Public Relations Consultant Association of Nigeria in their programs.
It's only desirable that we get you involved even in the planning stages of our major projects. I agree with you.
President, Public Relations Consultant Association of Nigeria, Johnson Ehuguse, promised to make available the skills and expertise of the association to support government's policies. He expressed optimism that the numerous challenges confronting the government can be effectively tackled through effective and proper communication. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Azman Air has officially commenced international flight with the launch of its 737 and 500 Classic to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. Awad Salihu, who was at the Aminu Khan International Airport, venue of the launch, tells us more.
Azman Air came into being to fill the vacuum created by the inefficient services of the aviation sector. Since then, it has embarked on a well-designed program to meet customer satisfaction and international best practice. After 3 years of domestic operations, Azman Air has officially stormed the international route with its inaugural flight to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia with a fleet of Boeing 737-500 Classic. The airline has been offered the license to commence international operations to Saudi Arabia, Dubai and China, as well as 7 other regional countries. President Azman Group of Companies Abdul Manaf Yunus Asarina said the intention of the airline is to restore the confidence of air travelers by providing comfortable, safe, reliable and efficient services in Nigeria and beyond.
So we thank Almighty Allah, and today we are going to start international flight. We are going to start Jeddah. After we start Jeddah, by God's grace, we are going to start Dubai and China.
Other officials of the Azman group of companies are optimistic the airline will become a reference point in international air services in the near future.
You expect professionalism from our staff, from our crew, and from us.
We started the preparations since last year, but due to some logistics, we cannot start it on time. But alhamdulillah, today we are starting.
We handle everything successfully, and we are expecting it back successfully, inshallah.
Azman says it has also concluded arrangements to acquire 2 more aircrafts and to start cargo services. In Cano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
The place of the African woman and the girl child, ICT, was central at the ongoing Transform Africa Summit holding in Kigali, Rwanda. Ominio Den in Kigali brings us up to speed on the development there.
By United Nations records, women constitute about 50% of Africa's population, but the men are twice more likely to have access to the internet than women. Though Africa has recently seen a rapid growth in internet access, women are vastly underrepresented in technology. As a result, the Smart Africa goals cannot be achieved without the full participation and involvement of women and the girl child. Speakers at the summit sustained the argument that to bridge the digital gender divide in Africa, there should be increased affordable access which must be safe for the African women and the girl child. Cultural norms which has over time limited the African woman and the girl child should be checked with technology and also not placing women at the bottom of the pyramid and relegating her to the sideline of development.
Africa has to use the knowledge to leapfrog in this digital revolution, taking advantage of the strides already made and continue to unfold with far-reaching consequences.
One other area the participants directed their debate is for African countries to increase and encourage the number of girls in the field of science and technology and also make ICT curriculum in schools compulsory for the girl child.
Through today's important conversation, we, as citizens of the world, are called to leverage our diverse positions to join governmental and non-governmental efforts for the inclusion of our women and girls in the heart of the current ICT revolution.
Other impediments, they argued, is that majority of women in Africa who work are in the informal sector with no minimum wage as their male folk. On the whole, the central target is that in the end, let the African man, the African woman, the African boy, the African girl have easy access to devices and science and technology in Africa. Omini Udan, NTA.
The NTA Television College has graduated 102 internally displaced persons trained in digital camera operations and techniques. Rinret Lot reports that the Director General of the NTA and the Federal Commissioner for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons charged the participants to utilize these skills to improve their economic status.
The course, which commenced on the 3rd of May, trained the IDPs from the northeastern part of Nigeria in all aspects of camera handling. Representative of the NTA Director General said the objective of the training is to empower the participants with skills that will help them build back their lives.
It is a joy and satisfaction that within this short period, these young men and women have become experts in camera operations and editing.
The Commissioner, Federal Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, said the devastating effects of the Northeast crisis left many without a means of sustenance. She said the skills acquired will help the IDPs to be productive.
The youths that were affected by these debilitating effects of this insurgency were helped to develop and improve their human capacity through entrepreneurial development, skill, and talent attraction programs.
For the IDPs, it is an opportunity to start life again.
to start business and employ some 2-3 people to show them how to shoot, to show them how to take a camera.
Also be facilitator or peer educator to teach others.
Awards and certificates were presented to the participants. The best 6 will receive scholarship, while others will be given a camcorder and a memory card each to start up their own businesses. In Jos, Rinred Lot, NTA News.
And you can watch this news live via the NTA mobile app, which you download on your Android device and the Apple Store if you use the devices with iOS. This is Weekend File on the network service of the NTA. Ingenuity has been introduced into drug abuse in Nigeria with complex mixtures, experimentations, and new concoctions of unimaginable substances. The use of hard drugs, especially among the youth, has become a real social menace and cuts across all social strata, with children from both rich and poor backgrounds deeply into it. A number of abusers, especially youths and young adults, have been identified in armed robbery and other daring exploits, as the habit is a shortcut to false happiness and confidence through stimulation. We will take a closer look at the matter after the break.
Change does not just happen. You and I and all of us must appreciate that we all have our part to play if we want to bring change about. We must change our lawless habits, our attitude to public office, and public trust. We must change our unruly behavior in schools, hospitals, marketplaces, motor parks, on the roads, in homes and offices. To bring about change, we must change ourselves by being law-abiding citizens.
When the kings of African comedy gather under one roof,
there is only one outcome. Then we bring down the roof. Come witness the craziest
and the funniest, the oh my God,
and the baddest of them all. Laughter will scatter your brain well.
Come watch the biggest names in African comedy at Glow Laughter Fest. Basketmouth, Bovi, I Go Die, Sheyi Law, Gordons, Salvador, Osama, Bash, Kenny Black, and many more.
You will never have a bigger gathering of jaw-dropping, whip-cracking comedians under one roof.
One microphone, one net, all over Nigeria.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there.
I am gonna be there. I'm going to be there.
Live and direct.
For the time of your life.
Will you?
To win a free ticket, use 2,000 Naira in a month and text LOL and your preferred location to 240.
Oh, Laughter Fest. Laugh go kill you, die.
True.
Glow Unlimited.
I can't believe she just rejected me and my camera.
She rejected my lights.
How can she not want makeup?
Maybe when the battery dies, she'll come back to us.
Nah, not with a 4,000 milliampere battery.
Experience the best selfies of your life. Gioni A1 Super Selfie Super Battery.
Africa Gender Publications invites the public to the public presentation and book signing ceremony of Dilo Malahi's Antidotes for Corruption. Date 15th May 2017. Venue Shehu Musa Yero Ado Center, Central Area, Abuja. Time 10 a.m. prompt. Chairman of the occasion Alhaji Umar Gali Naaba, former Speaker of the House of Representatives. Special guest of honor Professor Yemi Osibajo, GCON, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Guest of honor His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings, former President of Ghana. Lecture and keynote address Professor Femi Odekunle, Member, Presidential Advisory Committee on Anti-Corruption. Chief host Dr. Bukola Saraki, President of the Senate. Organizing Committee Announcer.
There is a reason Africa is called the new frontier. What was once potential is now an opportunity ready to be seized. Once revered for our resources, today's wealth is in our people who build the cities that shape the future. People who know an idea in one place means business in another. A generation for whom technology means there are no borders, no boundaries. We are the new lions in a brave new world, kings of the urban jungle. And there's a bank that puts the world in our pocket and the future in our hands. UBA, Africa's global bank.
It is with joy that I've received our Excellency's gifts.
I want to say that may God continue to bless and reward her. And so, on behalf of Garki Hospital, we are grateful.
The National Institute for Cultural Orientation, NICO, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, invites the general public to a 2-day annual roundtable on cultural orientation, ATCO, with the theme Nigerian Indigenous Language Newspapers and National Development. The event, which will have the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, as the chief host, will be chaired by Senator Matthew Ohoyide, Chairman, Senate Committee on Culture and Tourism. Special guest of honor, His Excellency Malam Nasir El-Rufai, Executive Governor, Kaduna State, while the Emir of Zazzau, Alhaji Shehu Idris, will be the Royal Father. Keynote speaker, Sam Nda Isaiah, Chairman and Publisher, Leadership Newspapers, while Professor Olu Obafemi of the University of Ilorin will be the moderator. Date, 15th to 16th May 2017. Venue, Arewa House, Kaduna. Time, 11 a.m. prompt. NICO, Harnessing Culture for National Development. Associate Professor, Bakle Faubiri Ayakoroma, Executive Secretary, NICO, announcer.
And thank you for staying with us up till this moment on Weekend File. Drug abuse can be defined as arbitrary overdependence or misuse of a particular drug or substance with or without medical diagnosis or prescription. This action has led to grave consequences on the lives of many. In this report, health correspondent Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju examines the causes and impact of drug abuse on the society.
For centuries, man has tried to complement some pleasant features of life or escape from the unpleasantness of life through the use of mind-altering substance of natural origin with moderation. However, after the Second World War, cannabis was introduced, followed by cocaine, heroin, and others. The 90s, however, witnessed dramatic change of events with the introduction of non-conventional drugs such as volatile solvents, inhalants, and others.
When you try it at that initial time, it's more or less that you're dabbling, then gradually you like it, then you get used to it, then you keep taking it, then you can't stop taking it, then you start needing it, then you can't do without it. Then you're dependent on it.
Drug abuse is today a major public health challenge globally, with grave consequences on individual, family, and the society at large, despite non-physical, mental, social, and economic effects.
Drug abuse is accelerating, and it's a very major social problem that is affecting young people in Nigeria. And because of the stigma attached to it, a lot of people are not ready to talk about it. They don't want to come out and tell you that their children is suffering from drug abuse. Then another reason why people don't, come out much is that the access to help is very minimal. In most states, drug rehabilitation centers are not a common place.
Experts noted with dismay the increasing involvement of expected future leaders in drug abuse, making one to wonder what the future holds if the menace is not checked.
I started with marijuana at the age of about 15. Over time it became a habit, and something that you couldn't do without. If you had to meet people, you want to, use the exactly. You're not necessarily high, just use a substance. It gives you a self-comforting, like confidence. You went on, then it started affecting all aspects of my life. My academic life became inconsistent. I became inconsistent in school, so, it wouldn't help anything. I wouldn't graduate with my mates.
Since the ills of drug abuse affect all, expert advocates concerted efforts by parents, teachers, guardians, and the government in promoting awareness on guidance, regulation of drugs and substance to ensure that future leaders are drug-free. Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju, NTA News.
Thank you indeed, Rashidat, for that background report. Now to Lagos, which is the commercial nerve center of the country with an estimated population of over 20 million. These attributes also confer on the metropolis a high percentage of social vices, and one of that is drug abuse, especially among the younger generation of Nigerians. Bolore Obara has a situation report.
Report of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA Lagos Command, reveals that from January to March 2017, 138 suspects were arrested in the metropolis with 1,399.78 kilograms of drugs, Indian M, 1,390.38 kilograms, tramadol, 9.35 kilograms, cocaine, 23 grams, and 22 grams of heroin.
Their side effects, they are something that are not pleasant. They may be having hand tremor, their hand will be shaking, they'll be sweating, they may be having palpitation, will be breathing fast as if the world is about to come to an end. So they have to be looking for way out. So it has serious health implications on virtually all the organs in the body.
Medical experts say youthful exuberance, inability to manage stress, peer pressure, lack of parental control, and across-the-counter purchase of drugs without prescriptions are some of the factors responsible to the rise in drug abuse.
For those that are addicted or they are dependent on drug abuse and they need help, and those help will have to be under medical support in an hospital that has rehabilitation facility.
Stakeholders are of the opinion that continuous public enlightenment through the media will go a long way in reducing the prevalence of drug abuse in the country. In Lagos, Bolore Obara, NTA News.
And now to Cano, referred to as one of the cities with a huge population of drug abusers. And our correspondent Fatima Sanusi Karaye tells us that disenchantment and lack of sound moral upbringing have been identified as the reason for the increasing drug abuse in Cano. Let's get the reports now.
Cano, a bustling trade center, is today facing numerous social setbacks, with almost 40% of its youth engaged in substance abuse. The state has continued to take the lead in this aspect, which experts attribute to the growing population and poverty.
Considering the population, our youths, some youths are coming from other states, so they are non-indigenous, they are not from Kano State. So that is the main problem.
Today, ingenuity has been introduced into drug abuse with complex mixtures and experimentations that are harmful to the society. What is alarming is the involvement of underage children. 7-year-old Abba, who spends most of his time on the streets selling Zobo drink for his mother, was introduced to smoking weed about a year ago.
This man takes me somewhere and gives me weed to smoke.
I give him weed to smoke every day. I see him with 6 other boys.
Similarly, young ladies are now into non-conventional drugs, where the Commandant National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Hamza Umar, warned of serious social consequences.
I want to stop taking drugs. I want to get married. I usually take codeine.
The young man you see there, the one less than 7 years, is one among 6.
that the man confessed that he has spoiled. And there are many like them around Cano City. We deemed it necessary to bring this notice of the public for them to make sure that when they see this kind of things, they should report to the authorities.
The commandant said despite different tactics employed by drug dealers to conceal their activities, the command was able to arrest, seize, and obtain convictions, as statistics revealed to NTA News showed the use of drugs does not discriminate between the old and the young. In Cano, Fatima Sanusi Garai, NTA News.
Well, you have had it all from different parts of the country, and our discussion segment on the matter is actually coming next after this break. Do stay with us.
I can't believe she just rejected me and my camera.
She rejected my lights.
How can she not want makeup?
Maybe when the battery dies, she'll come back to us.
Nah, not with a 4,000 milliampere battery.
Experience the best selfies of your life. Gioni A1 Super Selfie Super Battery.
Every year, Lagosians living along the plains of Ogun River suffer untold hardship from the perennial floodings of this river. As part of efforts to ameliorate the sufferings, the Lagos State government seeks an enduring solution through a two-day stakeholder summit on the negative impact of flooding of Ogun River on adjoining towns and villages in Lagos State. Date, Monday 15th and Tuesday 16th of May 2017. Venue, Pearl Hotel and Suites, Plot 7, Impressive Close off LJ Dosumu Street, CBD, Alausa, Ikeja. Chief Host, His Excellency Mr. Akinwumi Hambade, Governor of Lagos State. Host, Dr. Samuel Babatunde Adejare. Co-host, Mr. Babatunde Hongpe. Announcer, Engineer Adeyemi Hess Abidemi, Permanent Secretary, Ministry for the Environment. Ìtẹ̀síwájú ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó ló jẹ wá lógún o.
Issues in the sports sector remain one of the most debated among Nigerians due to the passion, followership, government involvement, impact on Nigeria's external image and our national life in the sports parliament. The NTA offers Nigerians deep views on issues with experts in the sports sector, offering in-depth analysis, hindsight, insight and foresight towards elevating Nigerian sports to the zenith on the floor of the sports parliament.
So many things have been wrong in sports. We've been talking around it.
We need performance expertise, and you can only get some of this where you have world-class facilities.
How can sports deliver return of investment to attract the kind of money required to take it to the next level?
We cannot interfere in the internal affairs of even the federations that belongs to us.
Sports Parliament, a unique platform for sports discussions, showing live on the NTA, Thursdays at 11 p.m. Keep a date with the parliamentarians.
The eyes have it. Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Yes, thank you for staying with us up to this moment. And our guest tonight is the man in charge of technical services at the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Mr. Femi Oloruntoba. He's actually the Director of Technical Services NDLEA. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good evening, Nigerians.
All right, now, what's your take on drug abuse in Nigeria currently?
Well, we watched the news analysis, and the news analysis actually said it all. It is a big problem all over Nigeria. You see that your news agent or agent in the Cano and the one in Lagos, they were reporting the same thing. The only difference is that it is the magnitude. And as we go on with the discussion, we'll be able to show Nigerians what is happening in each geopolitical
But
zone.
what do you think is actually happening? Let us start it now. Okay. What is happening? Why is it on the increase, despite the efforts of NDLEA?
Three things are important when you want to discuss the use of drug. Availability, then you also talk of affordability, and then you now come to talk of the predisposing factors. What we have seen over a long period of time is that a lot of our youth, because they want to experiment, because they are into peer pressure group, they want to do like their friends. So you discover that a lot of the youths, they go into drug because of these reasons. As for the case of women, which we saw somewhere in Cano, we have discovered that because women from that particular area, most of the time they are bored, they suffer from isolation, they don't go out to interact too much. So definitely they want to do something that will keep them on. So they experiment drug.
Okay, now you talked about Cano. It's very important.
Not just Cano.
No, I know,
okay.
But we are going to the issue of the substances. Now, substances that are not necessarily drugs. Now, unconventional abuse of substances, including pharmaceutical products, yes. It has been reported across the country with concentration in the northern part of Nigeria, yeah. Because one of the girls from Cano said that she takes codeine, for instance.
Yes. Now, I spoke about affordability and availability. Cannabis, that's we no longer call it Indian hemp, but cannabis, cocaine, heroin, all these ones, they are not affordable in the north. Not even, let me say cocaine and heroin are not affordable across the country. Cannabis is more affordable in the south because that is where it is grown. But in the north, before you carry cannabis from the south to the north, the price increases and you may discover that they will not be able to afford it. So they now look for what is affordable. And that is why you discover that all these substances, which are, we call them unconventional drugs, they are rampant because that is what is affordable. Now, talking of codeine, we're actually talking of codeine that is contained in cough syrup. And that is what we've seen over a long period of time as, causing a lot of problems in the north.
Now, such unconventional substances, are they covered by the law? Can you arrest someone making use of such drugs like codeine or cough syrup and all that?
Now, incidentally, you discover that cough syrups are drugs that, are prescriptive drugs. As a matter of fact, if you go to the remotest part of the country, you see a medicine dealer, he's selling cough syrup because cough syrup is needed, as a drug for whenever you have cough. So, but there is the content which is codeine, and that is the content that is psychoactive. And so when you take 10 bottles of cough syrup, instead of taking one, and you're not even supposed to take one just once. You have to take one over a period of 4 or 5 days. But you discover that the people who are abusing cough syrup, they can open 5, they can open 10, and drink all at the same time. So the codeine contents will make them to be psychoactive.
All right. Now, what does your record show about age, gender, characteristics, and the spread of drug abusers across the country?
Our 2016 summary of drug use shows that out of a case of about 2,777, the group between age 10 and 40, they account for over 90%. So what it means is that it is the youth, it is the workforce of the country that are actually more involved in drug abuse. And that is not good for Nigeria.
Okay, now the blame game. Yeah, it is easy to shift responsibility under normal circumstances. The parents, teachers, the misguided youth, government. You know, what do you think? You know, who should actually be blamed for this?
Well, we don't want to involve in blame game in the NDLEA. What we want to put across is that the problem of drug abuse requires the contribution of all Nigerians. The NDLEA, as the lead agency, is coordinating. But we need the assistance of all other stakeholders, the parents, the religious institutions, the school authorities, all must work together to ensure that we rid Nigeria of the problem of drug use and drug abuse.
Now, let's look at your agency. Are you somehow incapacitated in some areas, you know, to curb drug menace in this country? Do you have any inhibitions?
Surely we have, but these are the areas where I would say we need support. Anywhere in the world, drug prevention is very, very expensive. And when we look at the resources that is available to the agency, it is not sufficient for us to cover the whole country and make a successful intervention in the area of drug demand reduction. One other problem is the fact that when you look at the population and the spread all over Nigeria, you discover that not only the issue of funding, we need more hand, we need more resources, more human resources. The whole of NDLEA today, we're about 5,000. To look for after a population of about 170 million. So you discover that there is very little we can do. It's
grossly inadequate.
Yes, but what we want to say now is that just last year, the president has graciously approved that about 15,000 workforce should be added to our staff strength. So we're looking at a situation where the budget has been passed. It is most likely that once there is appropriation, we will start the process of getting more hands. And I believe that when we have more hands, we will be able to do better than we're doing.
Now, one more question concerning your agency. Could it be true that some of your staff compromise their position at certain points?
It is not totally true, but it is also partly true. Now, you agree that even the 12 disciples that followed Jesus, there was still a Judas Iscariot. So it's not impossible that in a workforce of 5,000, you will see 5 that are just not playing according to the rules. But what we've been doing consistently over the years is that as soon as we have evidence, they are shown the way out of the agency. And that has been very, very effective.
All right, thank you very much, Barrister Femi Oloruntoba. Thank you very much indeed for sharing your views and opinions on this issue. A very crucial issue, most daily. Thank you indeed
for
coming. I've been speaking with the Director of Technical Services, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. You are still watching Weekend File on the network service of the NTA. Don't go away because sports is coming next after this.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is working to ensure access to safe, good quality essential medicines with the World Health Organization pre-qualification of made in Nigeria pharmaceutical products, stiffer penalties for fake drug offenders with a review of NAFDAC laws, national, regional, and international collaborations, cutting-edge technologies, including the mobile authentication service.
NAFDAC impacts upon everything we do, including water we drink, the food we eat. They are important organs to the development of this country. And everybody should come out and join them and support them and help them to achieve the greatest benefits and success that they need to record.
Let us support NAFDAC to win the war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Okay, sir. You may now go in for your interview.
Thank you.
My shoe. And to think I just bought this very expensive foreign shoe 2 months ago.
So sorry about your shoes. This is why I advise my friends to always patronize made in Nigeria products. See this shoe. It's made in Nigeria and I've had it for 2 years and it's still as good as the day I bought it.
Made in Nigeria products are good quality, and stringent government regulations and certification now mean the goods made in Nigeria meet international standards. Make the patriotic choice today. Buy right. Buy made in Nigeria.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Nigeria's ex-international athletes have been urged to offer themselves for effective positions in the various sports federations in the country. Speaking on NTA's Thursday night sports talk show program at the Sports Parliament, the parliamentarians were unanimous in positing that experiences of former athletes will be invaluable for sports development in the country. Bolade Salami reports that former track queen Mary Onyale Omabemi was guest on the program.
Worried by the poor